In this episode of Automower Answers, we're going to take a look at what parts are in the upper chassis. We're going to show you how a lot of these parts come apart and how they go back together. Now, I will give you just a little warning. We are starting this process out right here with just the upper chassis. So if you're unfamiliar with how to get the cover off your mower, what's involved with splitting the upper chassis and lower chassis apart, really recommend you go back and check out some of our other videos, because we left that part out intentionally just so we could keep this video short and to the point, which is the upper chassis and what's involved with it. We get a lot of people talking about stuff in the lower half of the chassis, you know, the motherboard, loop sensor, cutting motor, cutting height adjustment system, wheel motors, things like that, but we don't hear a whole lot about the upper chassis. So today we're going to take a look at what all is in the upper chassis besides just the joysticks on the top here and of course the keypad. We're going to completely disassemble one of these things and actually put all the parts onto a new upper chassis, because this one here had a problem with the front sensors, went bad, and you can see did a number on it. That magnet holder, the magnet was rubbing in there terribly bad. That's a pretty deep gash in that thing, and there's even dirt in there, so it goes even deeper than what you're thinking and what you can actually perceive through this video. So we're going to take it all apart, swap all the parts over, and you'll be able to see what all is involved with this and what all is inside here. A lot of important components in here that you would not know are in here or wouldn't think of. For the nose piece here, all you have to do is get in here and give this thing a good push. Sometimes you can get a screwdriver down there and just give it a little pry, like that. Because that is just held on with two metal clips right here. There's parts of the hinge that are wiggling, and these are the two metal clips that hold the nose piece on. We'll go to our front lift and collision sensors. With these, you want to take out the silver screws, not the gray ones. That's it there. This is the piece that failed, as you've seen in our other videos showing this issue. There's the other one. Then we have our GPS and Connect board back here at the back. That is the GPS board right there. Get these wires out of the way here. There's one wiring harness for the lift sensors. This is the circuit board for the magnet holder that senses where that magnet is at. That one's a little tricky to get out. You want to pay attention to what you're doing there. You got to squeeze in on this clip and then pry it out up there too. There's your alarm. And this whole assembly comes apart. You can either leave it like that if you're just switching over the chassis, or if you need to get in here to undo your latch, this is the time to do it. Here is the filter for your chassis. You got one more circuit board back here, right in there yet. That's it. So this is pretty much all of the upper chassis torn apart here. The only thing we didn't tear down in this part was the center console, the stop button, and the latching mechanism there, which you can see in our video where we explain how to clean out the latching mechanism and fix it. And in that video we completely tear down the stop button, latching mechanism, and all the components inside there to clean them up. So now that we got this all apart, we're going to start putting it back together again. We got our brand new upper chassis here. This is the way this part comes. It has the filter in it. That is it. You flip it over, you can see nothing else in here. No circuit boards of any type or any kind. It does also, I believe, not come with the seal for here between the upper and lower chassis. You have to replace that yourself. It should possibly come with this seal here. I can't remember off the top of my head if this one came with it or we ordered that separate, but you will need the same rope seal that goes between the upper and lower chassis needs to go in here as well. So make sure you have that in there because that's going to help seal this whole unit up. So there we have our new rope seal in, and this is something if you're a do-it-yourselfer, your mower's out of warranty, whatever, you should have some of this on hand, because this would be like tearing apart a regular gas engine, you know, and not having a new head gasket or a new oil pan gasket or something of that sort, you know, and you know you're just going to put it back together, it's just going to be gushing out stuff everywhere and going to have to work on it again right away. A little bit more crucial here, because if you don't have a new seal in here and the old one's compressed, you're going to get moisture, condensation, dust, dirt, all kinds of stuff down your mower, and you got a lot of expensive circuit boards in there that you're going to ruin prematurely because of that. So for the few dollars or cents, whatever it is that this seal costs, keep one or two on hand. You know, this one here, you can take a full length one, cut it down. Plenty of places where you can buy this if you can't get it from your local dealer. So just a little tip there. But this is the HMI board here. This has your screen for your display, your menu, your settings, all that stuff on it. And on the back, it's basically where everything plugs into that is located in the upper chassis. And then the big ribbon cable goes down to the motherboard. This board here works with the motherboard to tell the mower what it is. If you try to take this HMI board that has already been programmed out of a 450X and put it into a 430X, it will not work. It will tell you it's an invalid subcomponent, even though they use the same part number for the 430X and the 450X, 430XH, 450XH, you know, on and on. The big key difference there is between a 430 and 450, and the reason that is because of the battery setup is the main thing. So if this is already programmed for a 450X, you're not going to be able to take this out and stick it into a 430X because it's going to think that there's a battery problem as soon as you plug it in there, or a battery is missing. Same way, if you take one of these out of a 430X and put it into a 450X, it's going to tell you invalid subcomponent because you've got an extra battery, or it might just give you the battery error over and over again. So just a little tip there, if you're one of them people trying to swap parts around to, you know, get your mower back up and running in a pinch, you can't do that. If you buy one of these brand new, you are going to have to connect it to Automower Connect, and it's going to then pair up with the motherboard to know what information belongs in this board. Same way, if when you replace a motherboard and you hook it up to Automower Connect, the motherboard is going to receive a whole lot of information from this HMI board to finish putting together the puzzle, basically, as to what the mower is and what it's supposed to be doing, serial number, you know, all the statistics of the mower that have been stored away since it was released out into the wild to start doing its job. Installing the HMI board is real simple. You just put it in here, line it up, and it snaps in place here at the back. So just push front on it. That's it right there. Snaps in place right there with those little tabs, two of them in the back. You want under these tabs in the front, and you're done. So now we can plug in our ribbon cables and any other plugs we have available here at the moment, and then we're going to be ready to put this on top of our chassis and screw it down. So we're going to take our completed keypad assembly here with our latch and all that stuff, and all of our cables that we have under here, and we're going to sit it down into the chassis. Again, make sure you got that new seal in there around there to seal this baby up. We'll sit it down on top of here, get everything lined up, and then you want to flip it over and secure it down to the upper chassis assembly. Now you can see it's raised up here. That's because it has that new seal under there, and that's what happens when you screw this down. It's going to crush that seal. So if your seal is already crushed, you're not getting a good seal around there, and there's a good chance you're going to be letting in dirt, condensation, moisture, whatever else your mower gets into. So always important to replace those seals every time you take one of these things apart. So with the upper chassis flipped over, we're going to reattach our center console with these 4 screws right here at the corners of the hole here where you can see the back of the HMI board. Next thing we're going to install is this GPS Automower Connect board. And well, you guessed it, this does your GPS mapping, and this is the board that has the SIM card in it that allows you to connect the mower through the app to your smartphone or tablet or whatever other device you have it paired to. This is, again, real easy to do. You have one ribbon cable right here that connects to this port right here, and then you're going to flip the board over and it goes right in here with 4 screws. If you have a 315X or 315, 310 and you have one of these boards installed, you're going to use, I believe, this hole and this hole here. But if you're buying it, it's going to come with instructions. If your board is, or you already have a mower with a board in there and you're pulling the board out, you're going to be able to tell where it goes. So that's a pretty self-explanatory one there. But that's it. That's for the GPS Connect board. We'll get that installed and move on to the next step. Now we're going to install our circuit board up here in the nose of the upper chassis. This is the one that gets the reading from the magnet holder in the cover, and this is a pretty easy one to do. You just put the board there. You want the plug part up, and just give it a little push down in there, and it will snap into place. So after you get the board snapped into place, then this white clip goes in here, and that one's real easy. It just is one that you squeeze the little prongs together and then just push it on in, and it will latch into place automatically. There you go. You can see up front here it's latched in, and we're good to go there. So that's how the front circuit board for the magnet holder goes into place. And then if you follow that wire back, there's a wide connector on it. It just plugs into the other red port on the HMI board. Then you'll have another end here which will run back to the back of the mower to where your joystick sensor is at there for your collision sensor. So we snapped our circuit board for our rear collision sensor into place. We have our ribbon cable connected. We got the cable holder there in place. Got it connected to our HMI board. We have the other wire holder here in place, and then we have it connected to our circuit board up here at the front and the nose for the magnet holder on the cover of the mower. And that's it for that setup there for those sensors. Next, we attached the wire harness for our front lift and collision sensors. So that's already in place, and we can go ahead now and put our lift / collision sensors back into the upper chassis of the mower. So now we got our front lift and collision sensors in place. We got our wire clipped right into the side there. We got the black one on that side, orange on this side, and these lift sensors themselves are interchangeable from side to side. So the only thing you got to watch with them is you got to get them in there just right, because they have these little tabs back here, so they only fit in one way. But if you're replacing a sensor, it's just one sensor. It's not designated as right or left or anything like that. One sensor does the job for either side. Then we've got our alarm to install. That we do by just fishing the plug through there. It's got a grommet that you just snap in place, and then you'll just use the 2 screws that you removed to get it out of there to fasten it back into place. So once you have your alarm secured, the other end of the wire here, it's a 3-plug connector, even though there's 2 wires, but the nice part about that is it makes it so you can't plug stuff into the wrong spot, because you already had 1 2-wire plug right here for the switch for your stop switch back there to tell you when your hatch was open or closed. So this one here just plugs into that last remaining white spot on the back of the HMI board. Plug that in, and that's pretty much it. You've got the whole underside of the upper chassis here completed. Everything's in place and good to go. And we can flip it over, and pretty much everything else, well, actually everything else for sure, goes in from the top. So now on the top, we'll start by fastening down this piece here, which the hatch attaches to, and your front nose piece just slides on there and clips on with these metal clips right here. So we'll put our 3 screws in it, and then we'll move on to putting the hinge pieces in. So the lid for the control panel there, or the hatch, whatever you want to call it, it has this spring on the front. So all we're going to do is we're going to take and we're just going to get this tucked down in there. See if I can do this with one hand. And that's it. Get that tucked down in there, and then we'll put our hinge pieces in here to secure this thing into place and get everything lined up. So you're just going to slide your hinge pieces here in from the side. One side does not have a bushing in it. The other side has a bushing down there that has 2 little tits on it that have to be lined up with the groove in the pivot point of the lid. So you want to make sure you get that lined up before you start jamming stuff together. But then just put your screws in there, fasten everything down, and you can see it works perfectly now. So now all we have to do is assemble our nose piece, which you can see these metal spring type retainers here inside. You got these 2 slots on either side, so you guessed it, that just snaps on there. Get that lined up and just give it a good smack or a tap, whatever, and it'll snap right in place, and then you're done with that part. Now all that's left to do is attach our rear collision sensors, and that's pretty simple. If you saw our other videos, you've got this piece right here that drops in, and then our sensors already together, because we're just reusing the old ones, but it goes right in there, and then you just line the slots up with the tab and 4 screws around the outside, and that's it. Repeat the same thing for the other side, and we're done with assembling our upper chassis. So that's it. We have our upper chassis completely reassembled now. You can see here, this is nice and flush after we fastened that down. You know, we got our new seal in there, so it's in perfect place now, not raised way up like before. Good to go. We got everything in here. We've got our alarm over here on this side fastened into place. We got all of our sensors in there. We've got all of our wires in place, all of our circuit boards, and we're ready to reassemble this to the lower chassis. So now what you got to do is connect a ribbon cable coming from the HMI board down to your motherboard and set the upper chassis back onto the lower chassis and fasten it down. Then you know the routine. Snap that upper cover on there, hook your wires back up, pop your grommets back in, and you're good to go. So just for all you guys that were kind of wondering where your wires went and where they plugged into in the upper chassis, just so you don't have to go back through and search for it again, here are some shots of the HMI board and where all those wires plug in at. And that's going to wrap up this episode of Automower Answers. We've had quite a few people recently asking us how you get that nose piece off there on the upper chassis by the hinge. So hopefully this helps you guys out. As always, if you like what you saw here, be sure to subscribe to our channel, pass this around to other people you know that have automowers. You know, hopefully we're saving you some time and some money here on your repairs and figuring out what parts you need. And keep the comments coming so that way we know what you're in need of help with. So thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you again soon.